Scotia Rambo. And I want you guys to imagine that I'm standing right here to offer you an interview for your dream job. Everything you could ever want, hope, dream for, with no chance of failure. All I need from you right now is your resume, and I'll give you 20 minutes to write your cover letter. And you're up against 12 other people for this interview. I'm only hiring one. Would you be able to hand me your resume, and would you be able to write that cover letter with confidence and just knowing that you're going to score that interview with me? If you've answered no to any of these questions, then I'm very excited to talk to you guys today about the importance of having a cover letter and a resume. By the end of this speech, you will we'll be able to talk about what are these things, why they're important, and why at the end of this you need to go to the Office of Careers and Talent and have an appointment with Sarah Todd, like right after this class. You gotta go. So what exactly is a resume? It's something that we talk about a lot, that we kind of have an idea of what it is. And it's just a written history of everything you've done as a job, an internship, or volunteer work. It's the second thing employers see, the first being the cover letter that we'll talk about next. You might also, when I was researching this, I saw a lot of things about needing your CV. I was like, what in the world is a CV? In the United States, it stands for curriculum vitae, all right? In the United States, it's just for people going into higher levels of academia. I can pretty much guarantee that Dr. Morgan has one, saying all the classes she's taught and all the places that she's published. But the reason I wanted to tell you guys this is if you ever want to work abroad, because pretty much every other place in the world calls them CVs, but it's just a resume. For academia, a CV tends to be longer, but for us, just a resume, especially for people our age, is a page. If you're going more than a page, I was talking to Sarah Todd, and she said it was like packing for vacation. You're wardrobing every single job you've ever had in your life, everything from working in the mailroom for 4 years to that 1 month stint you did at Rita's and weren't really feeling it, so you boogied. And when you go to apply for a job, you have to unpack and choose what you're taking with you and what you want to show this potential employer, what you can add to their company. The next thing is the cover letter. And I really liked Purdue Al's definition of it. Purdue University has a writing database called their Online Writing Laboratory that you can get a lot of tips on writing an APA, MLA, and different other professional writing sources. I really recommend it if you've never heard of it or seen it. Their definition, as you can read, is a cover letter's importance also includes its ability to explain your experience in a story-like format that works with the information provided in your resume. The important part of that is story that works with your resume. A cover letter isn't to just like regurgitate your entire resume in paragraph form and just kind of go with it. By the end of it, your potential employer should know something about you that isn't already in your resume. So why does this matter for us? If you go online, there's tons of information for every single person who wants to look at what a cover letter and resume look like. This is from behiring.com, where they've just put together this chart about everything that is overwhelming and already scary about job and internship searches. Things like within the first 200 seconds of posting a job, businesses are already getting applications. Okay, that's encouraging, thanks. Most places take an average of 17 seconds to look at your resume. Huh. I feel so uplifted, thank you. And going from Mike's speech on Tuesday, 89% of businesses plan to use social media networks to look at what you post and how you post. You can even go to places like Forbes magazine to see what they're looking for in a cover letter. They had article after article, and these are just kind of some of my favorite tips that they had for what makes a good cover letter. But there are just so many places that you can go to that just gets so overwhelming. So what I want to tell you guys today is about something you're already paying for here at Eastern. At the Office of Career and Talent, they already have sources for you to go to, and you can go to them with the big questions. You can go to them with the, what do I want to major in? I need a resume. I need a cover letter. I don't know what I'm doing with the rest of my life. I don't know how to prepare effectively for an interview. So that's how I got there and met this lovely lady, Sarah Todd. She is the director of this office. And if you have not been acquainted with her, I really hope you do. She is who I went to as a sophomore to get a cover letter so I could start applying for internships. Because I had no idea what that was. And I had an idea of what a resume is, but don't really have much to put on it. And I went to her office, and I was scared, and she made all the big questions into bite-sized answers. It isn't about what you're going to be doing, 5 years from now. Let's talk about your resume and what happens next. That's the one thing she always says, so what happens next? A few weeks after I met with her to get my resume and talk about interviewing skills, I ran into her on the path, and she was like, "Oh, hey, you look pretty nice." I was like, "Thanks, I'm headed to an interview," and I was dressed pretty much like this, and she's like, "Wow, that's great. Do you have time to go back to your dorm room?" And I was like, "Yeah, why? I mean, I got like 20 minutes before the interview." She's like, "You're wearing flip-flops." And I looked down, I was like, "Oh, crap." So I boogied back to my room as fast as I could to change my shoes, and I ran into a gentleman on the path back in the back parking lot of Doane, where I was living at the time. And he goes, "Hey, can you tell me where Walton is?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, it's right over there." And he goes, "Oh, great, I'm interviewing a student to intern at my church this summer." I was like, "Oh, cool, what church?" And he tells me, and I was like, "Isn't Scotia Rambo, perchance?" He goes, "Yeah, how'd you know that?" Hi, I'm Scotia. And I was like, he was like, "Why are you heading that way if we're meeting over here?" I was like, "Well, I was actually changing my shoes because I was more focused on finding pants that covered the tattoo I have on my ankle because I didn't know how conservative this church was." So Sarah will even try to catch you and save you from little mistakes when you're going to somewhere and not just in her office. One thing meeting with her yesterday said, because she wanted to make sure she heard that I was talking about resumes, and she wanted to make sure that I was prepared even for this speech, not just for everything in the future, which was very gracious of her. And she was saying that she doesn't turn into a pumpkin when we graduate. She's always there for us, and that there's never too early a time to go and see her. She loves it when freshmen come to see her to help them go through college and figure out what's next, because she always realized that the goal of a student is to get a job, but the goal of the teacher is to help them critically think. So I want to encourage you guys, because I see a room full of people with great possibilities and potential, to go and talk to Sarah Todd to see about the what happens next.